who happened to be very devoted to the Rebbe and was wealthy, he brought all the necessary equipment into the Rebbe's room. The Rebbe's room became an ICU room, intensive care. That was Shmini Atzeres, followed by Simchas Torah, followed by Shabbos. I believe so, if I remember correctly, which would be quite possibly, I don't. Motzi Shabbos, they allowed the Rebbe to speak. They didn't want the Rebbe to speak. They felt it would be strain, emotional strain. So the Rebbe got them to agree they would monitor him as he spoke, and if they saw anything dangerous, then they would whisk him off to the hospital. And amazingly, he spoke one sikha. It was about a half an hour from his room. We heard it downstairs. And that one sikha, we never covered everything that he would usually cover in a 2.5 hour for bringing. A mimer, a sikha, a rashi, a general. And the Rebbe recovered. Baruch Hashem, was miraculous. The doctor, Dr. Weiss, flew in from Chicago to take care of him, a top heart specialist. He said that the chances of the Rebbe's future, the Rebbe could look forward to very limited activity, maybe to move a few feet from his bedside. That was about it. That was all he could hope for, because the heart had been damaged. The heart is a muscle. If it's damaged, scar tissue can form, but muscle doesn't recreate itself. So there was no way the Rebbe would have energy, because he wouldn't have the heart beating to give him the energy. However, he continued to get better. And what we really witnessed was how the Rebbe cured himself and regenerated the heart. At one point, he said to the doctor, shortly after the heart attack, "Have you heard about stem cells?" He said, "Yes." So there's only a few people in America who know anything about it. The idea is that the certain cells can, if inserted into the body, can create new cells. So the Rebbe said to Dr. Weiss, "I suggest that you look into it." Rebbe said, "I suggest you look into it." He said, and it's an interview, a gem interview. When he came back to Chicago, he shared this incident with his fellow doctors, and they chuckled over it. That here the Rebbe was on top of research and developments, medical developments, that very, very few people, a handful of people in the whole world knew about. But that's exactly what happened. And instead of his prognosis that the Rebbe would be tremendously limited, the Rebbe made a recovery. And a month later, 2 months later, really, a week later, a week in Tishrei, and 4 weeks in Cheshvan, at the end of Cheshvan, which is where we're at now, the Rebbe went home. And the Hasidim who had stayed in 770 since the time of the heart attack, the Rebbe went home, the Hasidim danced all night. And and the following year, everybody came to participate in this joyous occasion of the Rebbe's recovery. And he went home and resumed his activities as Rebbe on a limited scale, but built up and built up. And we merited 14 more years of sichas and letters and teaching and guidance and everything. one long extended miracle. And so that's what happened the following year. The Chassidim all came back to celebrate this great occasion that the Rebbe went home. The Rebbe recovered from his heart attack and he went home. And that's what's going on. And it built up. At first, there were like 25 shluchim who were heads of state, so to speak. And the Rebbe said, that's all. We encourage that there should be more. More of their staff should come, more shluchim under their head shluchim should also participate. And until now, it's built up. I don't know how many of this year. Must be close to 7,000 people. 7,000 shluchim. All over the world. From all over the world. The whole production is amazing. So carefully thought out and organized and amazing. Page 54 in chapter 2. We've established that the soul of every single Jew is a portion of God. Rebbe now addresses a difficulty arising from his statement that every neshama comes from the wisdom of God. In other words, that's the tippy top of the lightning rod of your soul, where the infinite energy of godliness connects with you. And since all souls emanate from one source, which is Hashem's wisdom on the very highest of all levels, it should follow that all souls should be of the same level and rank. Got it? Understand the question? How can we have so many different souls? How then do the various levels and ranks found in Jewish souls come about? So we continue learning on page 54 at the bottom with the bold words, the Hebrew words. The neshamas, what do these words mean? Afis, even though, notwithstanding the fact, sheyesh, that there are rivavos. Rivava means 10,000s. 10,000. Rivava is 10,000. Rivavois means many 10,000s. That means millions. Right? Mine chiluke madregas. A chiluk is a distinctions, and madregas is steps, levels. So there's millions of steps, millions of levels in the shames. Gavoya me'al gavoya, one higher than the next. La'ain kates, and there's no limit. It's beyond limit. Kamoy, for instance. Now I was going to give you this example in several levels. Start with the top. Godol milas and the shames, ha'aves, the souls of the fathers, the patriarchs, and the matriarchs. What is a patriarch? We had a girl, and she's going up, she went to the next house, her name is Petra. Petra has to do the idea with the father, pater. Father. It's the root of the English word father. So the patriarchs are the fathers of the Jewish people. And they were tremendous tzaddikim on the highest level of righteousness. Abraham was also a great leader. All the kings of the world gathered together and they nominated, and they actually proclaimed that they accepted upon themselves that Abraham was their king. He became fabulously wealthy. The king Abimelech bestowed upon him great wealth. After the whole story, and he kidnapped Sarah. And then Sarah prayed for him and prayed for his people. And in order that nobody should have anything negative to say about Abraham or Sarah, he made them extremely wealthy because he was very grateful to them for saving his life. They saved his life. That's a different story. So he was very wealthy. He was very powerful. When four mighty, each one had a huge army, okay? You can think of this in our own modern terms. Imagine if this happened Yom Kippur, when Syria, Egypt, Hezbollah, Hamas, they all attacked Israel from all sides. Jordan, from all sides. What chance did the Jews have? The whole world was expecting that Israel would just be wiped out. But there were great miracles, even greater than the 6-day war. Because we came back from behind. We took the first blow. The Rebbe was very upset about that because they instead of making a preemptive attack on all their enemies, they allowed the enemies to attack first. They didn't want to be called aggressors. And we paid for that with a lot of loss of Jewish life. So imagine such a thing happening, that they did that. These four mighty kings, they went from Iraq, and wherever they went, they were devastating cities, taking over, taking loot, taking captives, killing a lot of people. And until they got to the land that we call Canaan, came Israel today. There were 5 cities in Israel, in the Jordan Valley, called Sodom, or Sodom, Sodom in Hebrew, Sodom, and Amorah. It was luscious. It was, beautiful area. It had not it had not yet been destroyed by what happened when Hashem they were very corrupt. Cities were very, very corrupt. It was a pleasure garden of sin. And these 4 kings came, and there were 5 cities, just like here in New York, we have 5 boroughs. They conquered the kings of the 5 cities, destroyed them. And they took captives. Amongst the captives was Lot. Lot was Abraham's nephew and his brother-in-law, Sarah's brother. And he was taken captive. And Abraham had made an agreement with him, a contract, a covenant, that if anything, if he would ever be in trouble, Abraham would help him out. And so Abraham set out after him with, it says, a group of like 318 followers who could be soldiers. In the pitch darkness of night, he pursued these 4 kings, caught up with them, fought with them, and conquered them. Conquered them. So his soul, we see from this that his neshama was a very, very high neshama. And after he had conquered them, then all the kings of the whole area appointed him or subjected themselves to his leadership, and he became a king of all of them. Avraham Avinu, we don't think of it in Sunday school, but Avraham Avinu was a great king, acknowledged by the world, fabulously, very powerful, and very, very wealthy. And so it says here at the bottom of page 54, the souls of the patriarchs, that's Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov, moving on 7 generations further to Moshe Rabbeinu, are by far superior to the souls of our own generation. We can't compare to such great neshamas. Whereas the souls of our generation, now comes another new term. If we want to think of the whole history of the Jewish people as a continuum, as a body, so a body has limbs, has a head, and arms, and legs, heart, and inner organs. So we want to think about the whole body of the Jewish people from the beginnings of history to the present day. So the fathers are like the head, the fathers and the mothers, the head. Other generations are the heart, generations of great feeling and great insight and great holiness. And our generation is called, and has been called for quite some time now, the heels of Jewish history. But the heel connects with also the idea of the footsteps. So people speak now, and there are songs about it. We can hear the footsteps of Moshiach coming. The godliness extends it's not just in the head and not just in the heart, it extends down through the whole body of the Jewish people through all the centuries, down to the heels, and this is our generation. Our kind of character. And he was born first. He was the first one out. And with him came Yaakov. And Yaakov, they were struggling, even in the womb, they were struggling. And Yaakov was holding on tight to the heels of Esau. And the word for heel is akev. So just to review, that Esau came out all hairy like an animal, completely developed. And Yaakov came out smooth and refined, but holding on to the heel of Esau. So therefore he was called by the name Yaakov. And the word Esau means fully formed. Fully formed. From the root of the word to make is la'asot. Esau means he was fully formed. From the root aseh. The root is in Hebrew aseh, ayin, samach, hey, I think. What? Sin, yeah. Hey, Esau, hey, so. Oh. Esau. So that's where it all starts. So our generation is connected with the heels. What's the difference between a head and a heel? A head is sensitive, intelligent, connected to the heart, which is feeling. The heel has no feelings. Therefore, the image is given in the Midrashim that if you have a boiling hot mikveh and no one can get into it, so what does a person do? He sticks in his heels, because his heels, first of all, he dips in his heel because the heel doesn't feel. So our generation is not a generation of great wisdom, not a generation of great feeling, of prayer and unbelievable learning. We are a generation of a very lowly generation, and we are called the heel. But the advantage of the heel is that the heel goes in, like they say, where angels fear to tread. The heel goes in and cools off the mikveh. And our generation is called the heels of the Messiah, page 55, at the top. Where's the Hebrew words? Last two words on page 54. Ikvese Mashiach, the heels of Moshiach. So the Davka precisely in this generation, which is the lowest of all generations ever in the history of mankind, we have a degree of devotion and dedication to truth and godliness that outshines all the previous generations, because it's not inspired by knowledge, it's not inspired by sensitivity and feeling, it's inspired by a deep, deep devotion to God. So that's our generation. It's our weakness is our strength. Our lack of outstanding virtues is what enables our generation to dedicate themselves to truth and to godliness, which is the essence of Moshiach. It's an essential commitment. Okay, page 55, continuing now. So we see a tremendous difference between the generations that we call them the head, and the generation, our generation, which is called the heels. And he continues on page 55. Sheheim bechinas akavayim, because our generation are literally the heels. Mamish. Mamish means really. That's a word you all get to understand. Mamish, really. Mamish means physically real. Lagabe hamayel v'arosh, compared to the head and the brains, we are really, really the heels. Continuing now, middle of page 55. And similarly, that's in the overall history of the whole Jewish people from the beginning to the present day. And the same thing repeats itself in every generation. In every generation, you have personalities who are the heads of that generation. These are people of great spiritual accomplishment, scholars, teachers. They are the head and the leaders of the masses of the Jewish people. In the Hebrew, similarly in every generation, like the Yesh Roshei Alfei Yisrael, they are the heads of the thousands of Jewish people. So the heads of the Jewish people, these are the tzaddikim of every generation. Shanishmei Sehen, their neshamas, Haim, Bechinas Roish, Umayim. Their neshamas are on the level of the head. Compared to Lagabi neshamas, Hamoin, compared to the neshamas of the regular Jewish people, the ordinary people, the working people, the uneducated people, or like ourselves. The Am Haaretz, and the Am Haaretz means the people of the land. That's usually the working people. They don't have time to devote themselves to learning Torah. And they're also usually not, since they're not knowledgeable, they're not careful in performing mitzvahs and learning. And there's always a threat that they should become an outcast. Really. People don't want to unite with Amei Haaretz, with the uneducated masses. So in each generation, we have heads of the generation who are like Moshe Rabbeinu, or like Avraham Avinu, compared to the masses of the Jewish people, the rank and file. One great innovation of the Baal Shem Tov, which he learned from his teachers, which was during the age of the hidden tzaddikim. He was the first of the hidden tzaddikim to actually reveal himself as a righteous person. And he instructed and guided his students that they should reach out to the masses, because every single Jewish person is a like we're learning in this chapter, has a soul which is a part of God himself. These mainstream rank and file Jews, they are the ones who are going to bring Mashiach, the heels of this generation. And continuing, extending the parable. And this same principle applies in each person's life, that there are levels within you that are more refined and more spiritual and more sensitive to godly ideas, and there are levels within you that are not sensitive at all, only interested in ice cream and beach, having a good time. And on a higher spiritual level, in the world of the neshamas, we have levels of the neshama. We have nefashes, and lower level nefashes. And here he introduces a new idea that every soul is in fact made up of three different levels, and even there's two more that he doesn't write about here. Three basic levels of the neshama, which are the nefesh, which means the life. Nefesh is the life or the soul. And the ruach also means the soul. But the root of the word ruach is spirit, the spirit. And then there's a neshama. And these apply in general terms. The nefesh is the connection of your soul to your physical being, which animates your physical being. And the ruach, the spirit, is the level of the soul that engenders sensitivity and feelings, love and fear, respect and honor, integrity. And then there's the neshama itself, which is God. Like it says in the first line of this chapter, that the neshama, Elokis, the godly soul in every single Jew, is a chelek Elokah mimal mamash, a part of God. It's literally a part of God. So that the neshama compares to the tzaddikim of every generation, which compares to the patriarchs and the matriarchs and the beginning of the whole Jewish people. And then we have generations which are more accomplished in terms of their service of Hashem, which compares to the ruach, the spirit level of the neshama, which is connected with your emotions. And then we have the rank and file. Every Jewish person has a nefesh, basic soul that animates his body and is still a holy soul. It's like a fish is at home in water. The nefesh is at home in a world of Torah and mitzvahs. So what do we see? That even though we have so many millions of levels of neshamas, each one higher than the next, the root and essence of every nefesh, every ruach, every neshama, from the highest of all the ranks, down to the lowest, most common individual, all of these souls are embodied in people, and even in the most illiterate and unobservant and ignorant and light-minded people who don't know and don't care about what Torah is all about. But all of them, nonetheless, on page 56, are derived, nimshach, they are derived, mimoyach ha'elyon, like we said before. The thought is father of the child. When a person thinks about having a family, physically it becomes possible. And if he doesn't think about having a family because he is not considering marrying such a person, not even considering being married to such a person, then there's no inclination to make a family there. So the thought is what causes. So similarly, on the highest of levels, like highest level, the beginning of the whole body of the Jewish people from the head to foot, to every single generation, to the person in himself or herself, they're all rooted and come from the highest level of godliness, which we call the mind, whether that's in the overall picture of the Jewish people, that's the fathers, or in every generation, those are the righteous tzaddikim, the righteous leaders of the generation, or in every individual, those are the neshamas. Every neshama which comes from the highest level of the neshama is chachma, which is wisdom. That's where life begins. That's the tippy top of the lightning rod of the soul. Got it? L'chaim. So this means that every single person you meet, every Jewish person you meet, that's what they mean. They say they have this spark of godliness in them. That spark comes from the highest level of the soul, and that highest level of the individual soul could be coming from the highest level of the soul of the righteous of that generation, which is coming from the highest level of the soul of the originators of our people, the fathers and the mothers of the Jewish people.
Only Jewish,
Yeah.
people?
What?
Only Jewish people?
Everyone. Tell you a story. One day, one of my teachers, my first teacher, it was Erev Yom Kippur. He'd finished davening. He was going home to get ready for the holy day. And they were working in a trench on the sewers outside of the synagogue where he davened. And there was a guy standing in the trench with arms that were so big, he couldn't even wear sleeves on his shirt. And he was digging in this trench. And he looked up, and I was in England. He looked up, he saw the rabbi, and he said, "Have an easy fast, Rabbi." And my friend the rabbi looked at him with surprise. Didn't dream that he was Jewish. "That's all right. I'm Jewish too," he said. Because you get this feeling. Sometimes people from the very simplest backgrounds have great self-sacrifice for Hashem and for Judaism. Where does it come from? Nowadays, we're hearing testimonials from people who survived the war, recent war in Israel. How in the most terrible circumstances and conditions of their captivity, they discovered they were really connected with God. They didn't go to Sunday school, that's for sure. It's an indestructible level of the Jew. And that's why we're still here. So your friends, sometimes your friends discourage you, your parents question you, but they also have the spark of godliness in them. And eventually it affects them. You don't even have to say anything. Usually when people make fun or make difficulties for a person, it's because something inside them is being touched. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Thank you very much. So it's a very, very special time. If anybody feels an inkling to be in something that they weren't up to as of yet, the advice is go for it. Chances of success very high. Everything's working for you. Thank you all.
Everybody's going through it right now, it's okay. Literally, people don't think worse. I know. We were short. I was gonna say, there's no way that man hurt. No way that man hurt. The rest of us, but no way that man hurt. Somebody scream or something, it's just like, no. No, we're not gonna scream and disrupt everybody. I already was disrupting everybody. It wasn't that bad. I'm so sorry. It's okay. We're fighting for life. No, you left it. That made it worse, not better. It's not that it was several days doing it. It's like the far away echo. It's not people like clear their nose so that it becomes so loud. How's that possible? You're shooting your face off. Like, I don't understand. I doubt. Right, so they want us to speak. The speakers. Probably. I mean, didn't the school team say that we were going to be snacks though? Like, are they not providing them? They're not providing them. That's still up to the. Oh, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Any good part of, whoever is doing or even who's on the interview. Do you guys want me to help you bake cookies? I am not making. I'm sorry, I don't know how to bake. You want to bake? I'll bake with you tonight. Yeah, 100%. After dinner. Perfect. Okay, tonight. Sure. So I still need the meal. Right. I'm not focused on meal. I'm focused on the snacks. Because let's be real, the speakers are probably gonna have a meal somewhere else. Right. But we still have to. But it's like the feeding. It's the feeding everybody that like we'll do cookies and we can do a cake, and it'll be fine. Because we're still gonna do the salad and the veggie bar. Yeah, but we can also, if you have the veggies now, I can I'll help you chop them up tonight, and that way you don't have it until. Depends on what they are. They'll just be what. I think like a bell pepper is probably a big one. All of those. They're learning. Okay. You're gonna be here. I'm gonna look up right now. As you can see, hard option. Yeah. For Malaka. Guys. Really? ChatGPT? I use it forever right now. I don't like her. I love you. How are you?